Today I'm going to be filming my April. Are we in April? We're in April. My April wrap up. I read 8 books in the month of April, which I think is quite good considering I felt like I was going slow at the beginning. So yeah, let's just get into them. I read some really good books and then some average books. So yeah, I'm going to tell you about them, obviously. The first book I read was A Curious Beginning by Deanna Rayborn. This is the first Veronica Speedwell mystery, and it was amazing. I really loved it. I only gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but I think it's more of a 3.5, almost 4. Just because it felt a bit slow in the beginning. It follows Veronica Speedwell. She is a young Victorian woman, and her aunt who looks after her dies. She doesn't have a lot of emotional attachment to this aunt, so she finally sees it as her way of being free now, and she can go follow her dreams, and her dream is to be a lepidopterist. She likes butterflies. She wants to chase butterflies in foreign countries, and she is fully intent on doing that until she kind of foils her own kidnapping and is forced to go stay with the grumpy natural historian whilst they figure out who is after her and why. I love Deanna Rayborn. She's quite well known for doing historical mystery books. She wrote one of my favourite series, which is the Julia Gray series, this being like her second series. I I really like Julia's journey more in that series. Whereas in this one, she kind of starts off being really spunky already, so you don't see as much character development. But then once you get into it and you get into her banter with the love interest, it's really hilarious and really funny. And if you like historical mystery romances, they're really fun, and you should definitely read them. Then I listened to an audiobook, and I listened to Theft of Swords, the first bind up in the Rayuria Revelation series by Michael J. Sullivan. This is a fantasy series. It follows Royce and Hadrian, who are master thieves, and it just basically follows their adventures in this fantasy world. And I absolutely loved it. It was my 4-star book of the month. I looked on Goodreads and I think I've actually read a 4-star book every month so far, which is like really good for me, because I'm such like a stingy rater basically. But this series, it's like perfect classic fantasy. It's not too dark, but you still get attached to all the characters and you care about them and they're in danger. But it's not like Game of Thrones dark where it's just too depressing for you to read all the time. It's just fun and it's really funny as well. Royce and Hadrian, their banter together is like really hilarious. It feels really English in the way that they speak to each other. It feels a lot like the BBC Musketeers if you watch that, and the way the sort of camaraderie, but also the banter and the friendship. And had some really great side characters as well, like Arista, who is a princess that they meet, and she's really like magical and wonderful, and I loved her. And yeah, I read both books in the bind up, but it only counts on my Goodreads as one book because I listened to the audiobook as a bind up. But I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. It's set to be great, seeing as it's meant to only get better. So yeah, that's exciting. New fantasy series, even though I haven't finished any of my other ones. Then I read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I loved this. This is set in a dystopian future in America, in this small, strange little country that it's meant to be America because it borders Canada, where the birth rate has decreased completely, just through pollution and war and all of that kind of thing. Just women are not able to reproduce as well as they were. So they get these people that they call handmaids, to these women to live in the houses of top ranking officials and hopefully get pregnant and give them a child, is essentially the plot of this. But it's that's only like one part of it. It's sort of this big metaphor for feminism and agency and body rights and things like that. And it's really interesting to read, and it's really wonderful, if not sad and hopeful at the same time. I actually listened to again the audiobook of this, and it was narrated by Claire Danes from Homeland, who is like amazing, and I love her, so I recommend that. Then I listened to another audiobook, because apparently this was the month of audiobooks, because I was being lazy, because there is another one. No, there's like 2 more on the list. God. Yeah, I listened to the audiobook of Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon Maguire. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But this is a short work of fiction. It's a fantasy story, or more like magical realism, and it is about a group of kids who are sent to a special school for children who have gone through magical doorways and portals and then come back to our world and they can't assimilate. So the school is trying to help them to do that or to give them a safe place. I was really disappointed in this book, to be honest. Everyone's been going on about it so much, but I just thought, it's short, I will just read it because everyone seems to like it. It sounded like something that I would really like, but I was just not attached to any of the characters. And the main character, who had been to an underworld, kept wanting to go back there and explaining how beautiful it was and everything, and I just never understood the incentive. There was not enough of us seeing the good parts of that for me to understand why she even wanted to go back. And there is a mystery in this book. What, some of the children are being murdered, and you kind of have to work out who it is. But again, I guessed it. There's a part where there's a clue, a pretty obvious clue, and they don't guess it until the end, and I was like, it's really obvious. And again, I didn't care that much, so yeah, I just was not invested in this at all. But it was a very nice writing style, and there was a lot of diversity within the characters, so it has that going for it. But I probably will not be reading the rest of the book. Then I read Jinx by Meg Cabot. Finally, I've wanted to read this book for like 5 years, and it was really good. Jinx is about a girl who has a nickname, Jinx, because she continuously has bad luck. And after some bad luck involving some magic, she has to go and live with her aunt and uncle in New York. She has to deal with her horrible cousin and the boy next door, who her cousin likes and who Jinx also likes. So typical teenage stuff, only there is witches to contend with as well. This book is just really nice. You can probably pretty much read it in a day because it's only short, but it's very easy to read. But still, I really liked it. There were some parts that are a little bit predictable, but I think I said this in my last wrap up. When I read these books, I don't care if they're predictable because they're just so fun and funny and nice to read and kind of cozy and just perfect to just sit down and read the whole way through. Then I listened to another audiobook, and I listened to The Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, well, not any of my videos, but I read Jamaica Inn a few months ago, and I wasn't that keen on it. Mostly, I think, because I'd already seen the BBC adaptation, so I already knew everything, and it's such a short book. I preferred Frenchman's Creek because I preferred the characters and I preferred the love story. Frenchman's Creek is about Donna St. Column, who is a bored aristocrat, and she decides to go off to the family home in Cornwall, where she's never been, and kind of encounters their pirates that live in the creek. And it's the love story between her and the pirate, the captain of this pirate ship, and the village people that don't want the pirates to raid their lands anymore, essentially. But yeah, again, I don't know. She's got like a very nice writing style, but then sometimes I feel like her character development is lacking. I think it did have a lot more than Jamaica Inn. Like I said, I actually liked both of the characters, so that's why I was invested in their love story. But there were parts that felt very similar because there's always like something to do with smuggling or pirates or criminality that this person uncovers, but who has to go live in this strange place. It's like the plot of both books. So I will read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier because I think that that's probably a much different type of book. But I don't know, I feel like I'm not loving her writing as much as I wanted to. So, and then I read the Penelope ad by Margaret Atwood. I got this from the library, so I can't hold it up for you. But because I'd just read Toba One, just read Handmaid's Tale, I was really into Margaret Atwood's writing, and I was considering actually buying the Penelope ad, but then I saw it in the library, so I thought I'm just going to get it and read it. And I really like it. It's Margaret Atwood's retelling of the Odyssey from Penelope's point of view, Penelope being Odysseus's long-suffering, very patient wife that basically waited for him for 20 years to come home. But in this book, it's because it's told from her point of view. You see her in the underworld, and she relates this story about how she came to marry Odysseus, how maybe Odysseus's stories and lies were not always like good or what he said that they were. Maybe parts of the Odyssey were lies, and kind of goes into her guilt also over the treatment of her maids, because in the original Odyssey, when Odysseus comes back, he doesn't just kill all the suitors that are occupying his house, he kills 12 of Penelope's maids who have been indiscreet with the soldiers, shall we say. But it gives a completely new slant on that story and tells it from the women's point of view. So yeah, I really do definitely recommend it. It's got some really nice interludes in it, because there's parts that are written as chorus, like the chorus of the Greek plays, which is parts with the 12 maids sing and say. So that's a nice little sort of chapter break every so often that's really interesting. And yep, I definitely recommend it, especially if you like Greek mythology but also find it lacking in sort of female stories in a way. If you want to read some retellings, then definitely I would recommend the Penelope ad. Then last but not least, I read The Sea of Monsters, which is book 2 in the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. Yeah, I'm not feeling this series. In my last wrap up when I read The Lightning Thief, I kind of said there's parts that felt very juvenile and very obvious and a bit pointless. And this one was much better, in my opinion, the second one. But again, there was still parts of that I just didn't enjoy. I'm not really feeling any attachment to the characters, apart from like maybe Annabeth. I like her. I'll tell you what annoyed me most about this book. It's just, I know that he's 13. Okay, I know that Percy is 13, and when you're 13, you're not exactly like the brightest spark, as much as you think that you are. But man, like, why are you so dense all the time? Yeah, no, there's parts where he's like really dense. It really annoyed me because Annabeth's not being stupid, so why is he like, like, there's this bit, not to go too much into detail, but there's a bit where they see a donut shop where it's not supposed to be, in the woods, in the wilderness, and he's saying, why don't we just go in there? You know, and Annabeth says, why don't you think that it's weird that it's there? And he's like, no, it's totally normal. And I was just like, Percy, are you being like fucking serious right now? Are you being like actually serious? Do you not remember anything that happened in the first book where every place that you went was not a good place? And you just want to wander on into this thing that's not meant to be there? Oh, it was so annoying. And there was a bit at the end as well, like a big twist, a big cliffhanger at the end. And it was really obvious, like this for this whole page, as soon as it said a certain thing, it was obvious what this cliffhanger was going to be, right? Fine, it's an interesting cliffhanger, but you're kind of waiting for him to work it out. Everyone else around him has worked it out. I've worked it out, and he's just there like, why aren't you all guys helping? Why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, Percy, are you being serious? Like, can you use your brain maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so we got there in the end. That's my April wrap up. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you again soon, and I haven't scared you off by ranting completely insane.